So, brand new episode of Gadget Nation. We're back at Bougie Cafe. Thanks very much for hosting us once again. And I've got plenty in store for you today. It's very centric to one device, but a device which is incredibly hyped up in, of course, it sells very well worldwide. I'm talking about the PlayStation 4. So we're going to take a look at the console, some of the accessories like the controllers, and of course some of the games as well. Enough talk, let's start.
As a student, I've seen firsthand what an amazing impact 3D printing has in education. There's a vast variety of applications that it can be used for, casting molds and 3D modeling being one of them. The problem is that operating these industrial machines is not always cost efficient and often requires professional supervision. Frustrated with the limited resources and funds available, we decided to build one that is simple and affordable for students like ourselves.
The Delta printer is a fast, efficient, and affordable 3D printer. We made this printer as simple as possible without sacrificing quality or resolution. We stripped it down to its bare essentials, and as a result of this simplicity, we achieved an elegant design while keeping the printer as cost efficient as possible.
We believe that to understand what 3D printing truly is, one has to experience it. There's a fundamental difference between buying a machine and building one with your own hands.
One thing that's made it very difficult to get into educating students about outputting from a computer in 3 dimensions is the price of a lot of the devices out there. The Delta printer provides a very cheap option for this kind of activity to get started. It's a great educational tool for someone to get an understanding of how computers think and how coordinates are processed and then rendered in real space.
The polar coordinate system lets us use fewer moving parts, so as a result, it allows for a lighter, more efficient setup that prints at a 100 micron resolution.
All critical components will be either CNC machined or mold injected. Because the Delta printer uses a highly tensile fishing line, it's able to achieve faster speeds far more accurately than traditional printers. At 100 micron resolution, prints don't just come out fast, they look beautiful too.
We've also made it easy to expand the print capability for those who are ambitious and want to print bigger. Expanding is simple, affordable, and can be easily done by switching out a few parts.
We'll also be offering what we call a journey book as a reward to our backers. This won't be a book so much as to how to run a business, but rather we're going to try and show you each choice we made, from shipping to marketing to pricing, and how we came to it.
We've made significant progress up to this point, but over the next 30 days, we will be turning this prototype into reality.
Even if you feel like you cannot financially back the project right now, you can still help us spread the word by clicking the share buttons under this video.
There's a lot of 3D printers on the market, but we believe the Delta printer is something that anyone can afford to help bring their creativity to life.
We want to say thank you for helping us get this far. We can't wait to get these printers into your hands.
So the PlayStation 4, obviously it's just come out here in Malaysia, it's just come out worldwide, but it's been a long time coming. We've been teased so much about it, but what it really comes down to, above the games, above the accessories, is the actual console itself. So, what makes this different? What makes this the PlayStation 4? I'm incredibly excited. As you can see right here, I have PlayStation 4. I have some accessories there, the controllers. I've also got some of the games here. I've also got the camera. Let's just focus firstly to the main heart of the PlayStation 4, which of course is the console. 7 years, it's a long time to wait since PlayStation 3 came out to the PlayStation 4 here. There isn't too much of a noticeable difference, a huge difference between the graphics and so forth, although you will obviously be able to tell the difference, and it's early days with the PlayStation 4. I'm sure games are going to come out in the future that can really tell the difference. Alright, so as you can see here, there's a size which I don't really have anything to compare with right now, but it is noticeably smaller than the Xbox One. So obviously on your mantelpiece, it's not going to stand out too much, which I think is absolutely fantastic. This is also smaller than the PlayStation 3 when it originally came out. Obviously, in the 7 years since that finally came here, It's been going down and down in size, obviously, as cost has gone down and parts became different and smaller, etc. So let's just take a look at what we have here. The buttons are rather well hidden. I mean, you can hardly see it here, but right there, just a very small part is the power button, and below it is the disc eject button. That's all you have there on the front. The disc slot is right here, and you may not be able to see it, but there are some USB ports at the front on the right-hand side for you to charge your accessories like your controllers, for example. Of course, these have non-replaceable batteries inside. And if we flip it over, you can see exactly what is on display now. There's only HDMI now, so if you're using an older TV, you'll have to get a converter of some sort because it will only basically plug it into an HD TV directly. The HDMI port, we've got the Ethernet cable, we've got the power cord, and we've got this USB area here for your PlayStation camera as well. Pretty much everything else is for ventilation there, and of course the power socket, as you can see right there, and an optical out as well. So if I put it back here, you may notice a strip right there. Now this is not on right now, but it is color coded, so it will tell you when it's in standby mode. It'll also tell you when it's on, etc. And it will reflect here as well, kind of where the buttons are, where you just press it there and there. Kind of glows in, but these do not light up. Now you can see the shape. It's slanted. It looks great on its side, and maybe it's got a slight wobble to it. I'm not sure how, well, if on purpose that really is, but unless you're going to be pressing hard and hard on it, you're never going to notice it. And just like the previous iteration of the PlayStation, you can put it up on its side as well, and there is also a stand you can purchase to ensure that it's fully stable in that. As you can see though, it looks very sleek. It really is nice, and I'm happy to say it will not stand out so much that it's really distracting. It'll look very sleek in the mantelpiece. But what about when you turn this bad boy on? How does it look on your screens? Everything about it is much more refined from what we've seen in the PlayStation 3. Obviously, the PlayStation 3 has come a long way in the 7 years it was out, with constant updates, constant patches, etc. But everything works a lot smoother. Now, this is a key comparison I want to make with the Xbox One. Obviously, that will be discussed further in another episode. But this really feels for me right now like a machine that's meant for gaming. The moment you switch it on, everything that can be plugged into this is heavily focused on the gaming aspect. Now, when you log on, everything's a lot faster. I mean, you can leave this in standby mode, not full power off, and it will download updates by itself while it's in standby. That makes things a lot easier. Even as you're installing a game, even if you download it, very, 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 very fast. You'll notice you're able to jump straight into the game whilst it is installing. So everything is a lot smoother. Not only that, when you're playing a game and you just press the PlayStation button on the controller, you bring up the menu, you can speed through things a lot faster. Going through your friends, now you can add 2,000 friends as opposed, I think it was 100 last time. So a big, big difference right there. Everything from sharing, I'll get more onto that later when I talk about the controllers, is so much better. Now obviously there wasn't a sharing feature before, but when you do it on this, it's really fast, it's really easy. Just browsing through everything is really, really that much nicer with a whole new interface available. Very tile-like, borrows heavily almost from the Windows Phone. And I have to say I'm a big fan of it thus far. So what do I think about the console and the interface when you're gaming itself? Haven't even talked about the graphics, but they are absolutely astounding. Now, I really do expect the graphics to get better in time. I think that developers are only starting to grasp the potential of what you could have of this now. There's obviously a lot to be built up upon in the future, so I won't be so fast to judge just yet. Yes, of course, there are exclusive titles which are next-gen only, and only for Sony. For example, Killzone, that really does look fantastic, but as a game, maybe not as great as it could be. So it's still a fine line between the two. But if you really want to see the difference, stuff like Assassin's Creed, which is available for the PlayStation 3, and it's also available for PlayStation 4, you can see what a difference next gen really makes. Bearing in mind that we've just had the PlayStation 3 for 7 years, who knows how long we're gonna have the PlayStation 4 for? Sorry, kind of 4. But anyhow, it could be 10 years for all we know. So it's really one for the future. There's a lot of potential in it. I haven't even touched on the fact that you can do your Vita. If you have a Vita or you're thinking of purchasing one, you could hook it up to that and play your game on your Vita. You can also incorporate it into your gaming as a second screen, like we've seen with the Nintendo Wii U, where they have that controller and then you have the screen there and you can interact with the game, etc. So obviously a huge amount of potential, and a lot of thought has gone into this. I should stress there's a heavy social element now, something which is really pushed, because since the PlayStation 3 came about, Twitter has arrived on the scene. Facebook has become so mainstream nowadays. Even YouTube, let's be honest, wasn't really around in 2006. It's a different ball game now. I can stream gameplay onto the internet. I can post up to a 15-minute video because the PlayStation constantly records your gameplay straight onto my Facebook, the last 15 minutes, or I can cut it down. I can paste my screenshots directly onto my Facebook, and it's so easy. The share button, again, I'll talk about the controller later. It means it's just a tap of the button and literally you are done. It's as simple as that. It's much more game-centric, I feel, than the Xbox One, which tries to become the media center within your home, incorporating multiple elements. So it's much more focused, much more core driven. I could go on and on about the extra features that come into play, but let's try to touch on that in the rest of the show when I talk about the accessories and when I talk about the games, or just touch on it. So let's carry on.